Hey people of the Home Trifecta, this is Chris of the Home Trifecta at Keller Williams. Today I thought I'd do something a little bit different. This video came up on my feed. It's a daily show video about the process of buying a house, so I thought I'd give it a watch and give my take on it. So I figured I'd take everyone with me. Let's check it out and see what they have to say.
Buying a home is like getting
Buying
married.
a house.
It's a huge decision, and you're only going to do it 1 to 4 times in your life.
True. You're more than likely to buy or sell a house in 4 or so times, or 4 or 5 times in your lifetime. But it is a big decision. A mortgage is a big thing to undergo.
Lucky for you, I'm a licensed real estate agent, like 1/3 of adults in America. So I can.
There's a lot of real estate agents out there. The vast majority of real estate, or people who have licenses, they're normally, in most cases, part-time. Some got it and don't use it. Most of the actual buying and selling out there is done with people who do it full-time. But there are a ton of people out there who just got their real estate license.
can help you through this big decision. Step 1, determine your budget.
Okay.
Usually, to buy a house, you'll need to put 20% of the price as a down payment. So for a $500,000 house, you'll need to have $100,000 in savings.
Okay. This is one. I'm not going to contest this because some people do want to save that much money for their home. You do not have to. There are lots of options out there if you talk with the lender where you're not paying nearly that much upfront for a home. There's some awesome programs out there like FHA and MISHDA that help drastically with your down payment. Some people want to save that much money for their home. This is an example with $500,000, so it would be $100,000 as 20% down. But there's lots of options out there to keep your down payment low, and whether or not those options are the best call for you, that is going to be just a conversation with a lender, which is normally, once I start working with someone, the first place I send them is for them to try to figure out, what they want as a budget for their home. That way they can plan out, what they're going to pay a month, what they're going to have prepared. It's really important to know that and talk about it in depth with your lender. I think it'd be your bank. There's lots of great mortgage companies out there, but it's really important to understand how you want to approach a mortgage. But I can tell you firsthand, not everyone needs to save 20%. There are some great programs out there. I have a lot of buyers who've kept their total payments that they've had to have towards their first house under 10 grand. In some cases, under 5 grand. It just depends on the type of mortgage you set up. But that's not to say that saving 20% is a bad idea either. You have a lot less into you have a lot less of that home that's essentially owned by the bank. So some people would prefer that. Again, have the conversation with your lender.
But you only have $3,000. Don't worry, we'll figure that out
A lot of people
later.
feel that.
Let's move on to the fun part.
The fun part.
Step 2, find a house.
Find a house. I love looking at houses.
Look at all these beautiful
Okay,
houses.
we have cartoons.
I'm a Victorian. I'm mid-century modern.
And we're twins.
But you can't afford any of these houses.
It could feel that way depending on your budget. I'm sure everyone looks at their phone every day, like looking at some of the $400,000 or $5,000 houses out there. But figure out your budget first. But look, there's some good houses that pop up at some affordable rates or affordable prices. You just have to take the time to look for them.
Oh, wait, but what about that one on the end over there? That looks nice.
I'm only affordable because a murder happened in me, and I can't stop thinking about it. My walls will never be clean.
Is anyone paranoid about that? Does anyone have like a fear of ghosts or anything like that? I don't know. I guess I would feel a little out of place if I knew there was like a murder in the house, and I'm fairly certain that has to be disclosed if there was a murder from a estate agent. But I don't know if I'd have a problem with it necessarily. There was one time I looked at a rental place a long while back for myself and my wife where someone did pass away within like a few weeks, and we got a little weirded out by it. That's not why we, I didn't choose to live there, but I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a factor. Okay.
In realtor speak, we call this character.
Character.
So let's put an offer in. Step 3, put in an offer.
All right, writing an
offer
offer
is the price you tell the seller you're willing to pay for the house.
Yep.
Let's offer $750K, contingent on inspection.
On that house. Okay.
I think that's good. Ooh. They countered at $2 million last and final.
$2 million. Yeah. It's funny. You're actually not as likely to get a counter nowadays. At least here in West Michigan, it's a lot more likely that offers are going to be due by a date, and you get the offer in by that date, and the seller just picks the best one out of the bunch. There are some things you can do with your offer to make it a little bit of an easier decision in terms of the pricing. There's something called an escalation clause you could put in there that kind of takes the Price is Right game out of determining what you're going to offer. And there's a lot of thought that goes into how you write an offer. If you're looking to buy a home sometime, I do a buyer class every Thursday at 5:30. I dive into my thoughts and processes on how I normally would approach writing an offer on a home. But it's not often that they counter at over double what you offered on a house.
I know it's more than we talked about, but I suggest we take it. There's a Saudi shell company right behind you, ready to...
The Saudi shell company behind, ready to pay cash. There are people who you do have instances where there are like 20 offers, and sometimes not necessarily a shell company, but some people will pay cash for houses, and that's normally a tough thing to beat because cash is king in most cases with a home when buying a house and writing an offer, but it's not that likely.
Pay all cash. Just a quick thing, I'm paid on commission, so it's really important to me that you buy this house, but not really important to me that you can afford it.
Okay, so that's a problem. If at any point you find that your realtor is looking out for their interests as opposed to yours, dump them. They're signed as a fiduciary to you to be looking out for your best interests, not their own. Now, I myself and realtors, they give their opinions probably on pricing or strategies, but the second it crosses a border of them just trying to get you to throw money at the wall, they're not looking out for your best interests anymore. So if you hear anyone who's working with someone like that, tell them to ditch them, because they're not actually doing the job. They need to be looking out for the buyer's best interest.
So you'll accept? Congrats! On to step 4.
All right, under contract.
Under contract. Once you've signed the initial contract, now it's time to send a forest worth of paperwork to the bank. They'll need pay stubs, bank statements, W-2s, a credit report, a letter from your employer, and your parents' address.
This is not entirely inaccurate. Lenders ask for a ton of paperwork when going through the final approval process. They will re-ask for pay stubs. They will, they need everything in the moon from you. And I mean, they are giving you a loan for, in most cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars. But it's a lot. You got to work with them. But as long as you're working with a lender that's helping you through that process, if you have questions on the paperwork, that's important because there is a lot to go through. It's important that you know everything that you're sending over to them. But yes, you can absolutely expect a lot of paperwork from the lender or bank to work on your approval.
Because somebody's going to pay for this house. While you fill all that out, let's get the house inspected.
Okay, inspections.
Hello, Mr. Wrench. How's the house looking?
Yeah, it's falling apart. You got black mold, the furnace is shot, and the septic system needs to be replaced.
That's right, the septic system. I bet you didn't know this house has a big tub of shit under it. It's right.
Okay, you absolutely should get a house inspected. I never recommend waiving an inspection. If it came to something like this, it would more than likely be something you would pass on. Inspections are very important. You got to know if something's majorly wrong with the house. The good thing about it is normally once you've done your inspection, if something does come up that's so worrisome, let's say there's like a huge foundational issue, if it's something that you want to leave the deal on, you can do so, no questions asked regarding inspections. And the good thing about it is you get your, you put a 1% earnest money deposit when you submit your offer. You get that money back if something happens during inspections. Now, you normally do still have to pay the people who are inspecting the house because they do the job of going through the house for you. But, it's important that it gets done because you don't want to end up with some sort of nightmare later on. And most of the time, so after you've done your inspections, it does become kind of a point. It becomes a point of negotiation. And in most cases, a lot of sellers are willing to work with you with safety issues. So, if there's something severely wrong with the water heater or something like that, most of the time they're okay negotiating on the prices or fixing it before you move in or something like that. They're less likely to work with you in terms of cosmetic stuff, if you don't like the paint on the walls. But, generally when it comes to safety things, you can normally negotiate, most, if not all, the repairs out of it if it's a safety issue. And, again, if they're not willing to work with you on that and it's a deal breaker, you can walk away, no strings attached. So, and you get your earnest money deposit back. Okay, moving on.
Right next to the well. Step 5, closing day.
The best
Once the bank
day.
approves your paperwork, you sign the final contracts with the previous owner and the bank, and you own the house.
True. Go to the bank.
Specifically, you own 20% of the house. The rest belongs to the bank. Oh, which
Sure.
reminds me, meet Marty the mortgage.
Where's my money? You better have it by the first of the month, or your ass will be out in the street. I don't give a crap if it's winter.
So remember to pay your mortgage. And be happy, because you're...
That's true. You do need to pay your mortgage. I guess the main point of solace you have with that is you wouldn't be, all that paperwork you had to go through, and more than likely the pre-approval you did before you even put out an offer. That was the bank ensuring that you are in a financial position to pay that mortgage. If you are not in a position to pay that mortgage consistently based on your financial record that you have, then you would not be getting the loan for the house. And I can tell you firsthand, I have had situations where the lender decided that the person was not they weren't comfortable giving them the loan because of they weren't entirely satisfied with their income, and they denied them on the mortgage. And that really sucks, but it's not in their best interest or yours if you're not in a position to pay your mortgage consistently. So that's why it's important that you're in a position to pay it. So again, so there's importance to that paperwork that you have to deal with, and yes, make sure you can pay your bills.
Living the American dream. You own a home. And that's math class.
Oh no. Okay, yeah. So this had a lot of there was some truth to a lot of this. A couple big takeaways, if I can recall through some of it. In terms of your down payment, you can choose to save up to 20%. There are lots of options out there for you to not have to go and save that much money before you make the decision to buy. But that's an important conversation to have with a lender. Let's see. They went into writing offers, which you need to do strategically, but it should not be done in a way that's not in your best interest. So make sure that at the end of the day, whatever you're sending to that seller, it's a win for you. And that's part of what your realtor's job should be, is to make sure that it's for, that offer that's being written is in your interests. Let's see here. They talked about a lot of paperwork comes from lenders. Yes, that's absolutely going to happen. Let's see. Inspections. You can negotiate on them. Hopefully you're not running into a home that's literally falling apart at the seams. If it is, I hope it's just an investment place that you're, buying for next to nothing. And then, let's see, they go into, you got to pay your mortgage, which is part of why you go through that lengthy process of getting approved and pre-approved before you even send the offer. So, overall, it had some hard truths, and not all of it's pretty, but when you take the time to work it out with your agent, and you go over the best options for you with your lender ahead of time, that's going to set yourself off to win. There's definitely some hyperbole in this video, but there is some truth to it too. So interesting watch. Thank you all for tuning in. If anyone out there knows anyone who needs help buying a house, or wants to talk about it or look into it, I do a class on home buying every Thursday at 5:30. Or just feel free to give them my contact info, 616-558-3758. Email c.patrick@kw.com. This has been Chris with the Home Trifecta at Keller Williams. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and yeah, have an awesome day. See ya.